Happy Sunday, Tosh.
Happy Sunday.
Welcome back to the Soulful Stir. I am Dime Simone.
And I am your girl, Tosh.
I feel like today was a pretty good day. What you think?
Um, Today was an uneventful day for me, but pretty good, I guess. No events are good sometimes.
Yeah, rest is essential, so I agree. I didn't do too much today. I spent the weekend just kind of getting some work done. But you know what? I do have something good to report, so let's jump into tell me something good.
Well, I actually have really good news this week. So, those of you that follow me and know me in real life, my nephew was killed in January of this year, and they arrested one of the guys who killed
Oh,
him. So we
wow.
got a little bit of justice. As far as my other nephew said, it was more than one person. So I'm thinking that they're like waiting to get the other person, or I don't know, they waiting on homeboy to snitch on them or something like that. But long story short, we got justice. The main person, the perpetrator that was linked to my nephew, was arrested. So very good news this
Wow.
week.
Well, I'm of course sorry to hear about your nephew, but that's definitely some good news that justice is being served. It's still very sad, you think about these types of situations though, because it's multiple lives that are being, lost. And it's like, at what cost? Like, was it
Yes.
really even worth it? You know?
Kids, well, he wasn't really a kid, but he's my nephew, so he's a kid to me. But it's like kids killing kids, man, because whoever this young boy was actually younger than my nephew. So yeah, just crazy, senseless, just unnecessary violence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-violence, man. Well, on a lighter note, I went to a chickens and ducks class over the weekend.
This
And
is the most random but on brand dime thing I can think of.
I was just about to say, like, if you know me, that sounds very on brand for me. Like, that's something that I
Yes.
would absolutely do. And I really enjoyed the class. My best friend sent me the link to the class because we've been going back and forth about getting chickens. And I've wanted some chickens for a very long time, like some years now. So the class is put on by an organization called the Georgia Street Community Collective, and it was done in partnership with Keep Growing Detroit. Very informative. I learned so many things about ducks and chickens, down to like what breeds are the best ones to get. But
They're
I
different
think
breeds of chickens.
yes, and
Oh,
they all
okay.
like even look very different, and different breeds lay different color eggs, which I knew before going into the class, but it was just really interesting. Like he had different breeds too because we got to go look at his chicken coops, the guy who was putting on the event, and that was real cool.
So I knew about different color eggs, but I didn't know that they were actually linked to different breeds. So
Mhm.
that's interesting. So like, okay.
Yep, so that was how I spent part of my Saturday. And then I went and spent some time with my mentor, helping her out. And that was my Saturday. Oh, and I also did some homework. So that took up a nice chunk of my time. But I'm happy that I'm able to get another assignment off of the palette, if you will, and another book down that I've read, which was actually very interesting. Have you ever read Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown?
No, but I did, well, I began reading one or two of her other books a while ago. I never did finish them. It got a little too heavy for me. Like it wanted me to do a little bit too much emotional work, and I like reading for pleasure, not for work. So I didn't finish it, but I've heard of that book before, and I did say at some point I was going to go back and finish her books. But with so much other crazy stuff going on in my life right now, I've been like heavily into fiction
Mm.
lately. So I've been reading a whole lot of fiction books.
Yeah, fiction is like the great escape from reality, right? It
Absolutely.
gives you a break away from everything else that's going on. I think that everybody should read Atlas of the Heart though, because it really provides a comprehensive roadmap about our emotions and really the language of our emotions and how deeply we are all really interconnected. There were so many points like with me reading a book that made me pause and like reflect on different experiences I've had, people I've come across, how we all process things differently and how we act according to what emotions we are experiencing at the time. But also, one of the big things that it talks about is that a lot of people don't have the language to express what they're experiencing. And so there's
Hmm.
a disconnect there. It was just real interesting. I'm glad
Interesting.
I
Yeah,
read
no,
it.
I definitely want to go back and read that because I think that'll help in some familial relationships that I have. Like I don't try to shy away from doing the work. I think by nature of my career being so heavy,
Hmm.
when I am off, I'm trying to just escape. Like real life. So I've
No.
been like reading a lot of fiction and all that other stuff, but in between there I have been like collecting other books, some different self-help and spirituality books along the way on like my to be read list. So definitely looking to read some of them in the near future. Just haven't actually started right as of late.
Well, that's wonderful. I have a ton of different books on my list that I'm hoping to get around to at some point. But my thing is like now I keep telling myself don't buy any more books until I clear what's on my shelf currently. But I have like gotten into the whole library card thing. Like, I
Yes.
love having a library card. It's so let me just use this part of the show to encourage people. Go get you a library card. Go get you a library card. I mean, not like aside from being able to get books for free from the library, well, you pay taxes for it anyway. But you can get books and a ton of different resources, classes, workshops they have available at your local library.
Do you utilize your library card? So I use my library card because I actually have one as well for Hoopla and like Libby.
Yep, I
So
sure
I
do.
can read free audiobooks and things of that nature. So for people that, it's a lot of people that I hear that say that they don't have a lot of time to read books, and I can kind of get that. Like life gets really really busy, but as a toddler mom, I think I got a lot of time in listening to books because I would keep a headphone in and I would like do stuff around the house for my son or even putting him to bed because that noise he wouldn't be able to hear. I could just listen to it and we could do it in the dark and things of that nature. So if you're interested in reading, I would highly suggest, like Diamond said, please get you a library card and utilize the free resources such as Libby and Hoopla to get you some audiobooks. It's a wealth of knowledge out here for us as women, as Black people, as just people in general, but it's hiding in a book. And I think if we open
Hmm.
ourselves to more opportunities to get more knowledge, even if it's just simply listening to fiction books or different things, different types of literary works serve different purposes. So I'm a very avid believer in reading, spending time in a book and getting a library card. So I would say, like, swap out some music sometime on your commute to work for a good audio book. Swap out watching that extra rerun of a show that you watched 1,000 times, because I'm guilty of that. Like
It's your
I've watched
comfort show.
every my comfort show. Well, it used to be Law and Order, SVU, and I still think it is.
Very on brand for you.
Yes, very on brand. I love that. In my second, well, yeah, second in line would be First 48, and I like that. And I'm really into Homicide Squad New Orleans right now. So I'll put those shows on to go to sleep or just to have background noise. But I've been switching that out for audiobooks, and I've actually been enjoying it. Like getting
Mm,
like lost in a good story.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely will help distract you. Like when I'm doing stuff around the house that I don't want to do,
Hmm.
listening to a book will help me like do it and not really think about what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean the stories get real juicy. Like when you
Yeah.
really get into the books, like especially with you saying that you've been reading a lot more fiction. I look
Yes.
forward to opening up a book, putting in my audio books, and of course, like I'm a podcast girly. I listen to podcasts as well, but I have been more often listening to books instead. Another thing I want to say is so say that you work in a different city of where you reside, you can get a library card there too.
Yes.
So there are some counties or cities that have access to other resources or additional resources. that your city that you reside in may not, or vice versa, you can get a library card in both of those counties and cities. So, don't sleep on a library card and you save money,
Yeah,
you know?
because I ain't gonna say who because I don't know who listening, but me and my friends, we share some of these accounts. You know what I'm saying? Like they might live in a different city because with the hoopla and the Libby, a lot of what you have access to based on your library card is what is actually available in your library, your geographic library, like what's close to you. So like I got people in other states that have different libraries with different books with different access, and we share this
Mm.
kind of stuff because we like to read a lot of the same books and we like to have stuff to talk about. So, hit some of your homegirls up, call some of your fellas and be like, hey, let me hold your library card. You know what I'm saying? Like, because what can you really do with it? Like, you can't commit no fraud with somebody's library card. You know what I'm saying? Just take a picture of the
Committing
bag,
fraud with a library card is very
take a
interesting.
picture of the bag,
And if you've
and
ever done it, if you
please write us and tell us about it.
we want to know about that.
Yeah, cause like it ain't like you gonna do nothing like strange with somebody's library card. So like share the wealth. If you got a library card, please give your cousin or somebody a book and get them to read some stuff. Get these people off these phones and from in front of these TVs and I don't know.
Yeah, feed the mind.
Yeah, that's my
And
auntie rant for the day. Kids need to go back outside. We need to start reading books again.
we're the kids that used to cut the grass and shovel snow.
Yeah, they ain't out here no
It made
more.
me so mad too. Like as a property owner, I'm like, damn, I'm tired of paying so much to get
Nope.
my grass cut. And I'm like, where are the kids that used to do this when
Sitting
we
in the
were
house
growing
door
up?
dashing.
They are
Cause
streaming and
when we
playing the
were growing up,
game.
kids wanted to go shovel snow to be able to walk to the Coney Island, to walk to the corner store. If you were lucky, it might have been a White Castle on your corner, and people wanted to
Was it a
walk to the
White Castle
store.
on your corner?
Um, we didn't have a White Castle on our corner.
Because we were not so lucky.
We had a Coney Island, and then we had a Coney Island on one end, we had a corner store on the other end. But see, if you go back a few blocks, it was a McDonald's, it was a KFC, it was a Wendy's, it was a other
Mm,
stuff. Like we couldn't really venture out that way until we were like older. But when you were younger, it wasn't nothing to be like, hey, can somebody, mama, take us around the corner right quick? People
yeah.
just got some money up so they can do stuff. But these kids already in the house door dashing. They got their feet kicked up and they ordering stuff. So
It's a very interesting time. That's really all I can say about that. But, I hope that there will be a return of children who are looking to hustle in a good way. If your kid has a landscaping business, snow removal business, let us know because I'm trying to hire them. If the prices are good, I'm really trying to put some bread in their pockets because I'm tired of paying all this money to get my grass cut
listen,
every
if
two
they detailing
weeks.
cars, if they cutting grass, send them this way, okay?
Yeah.
Because
Happy to pay, happy to support, happy to
please.
pass their information along
Yes,
for them to
absolutely.
build their business. Let us know.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, let's jump into mind, body, and balance. What you got for me today? I got something that I want to share.
So, this is more about balance than anything.
Hmm.
This week I was having a conversation and it really bothers me when black women don't step into their pizzazz. Like as black women, we have like this glow, like this aura about us. People talk about it all the time. Like back in 2015, 2016, it was black girl magic. You know what I'm saying? We had this thing, we have this je ne sais quoi about us that is just like everything. And it really
Yeah.
bothers me when women are scared, black women are scared to walk in that and they're scared to step in that. For example, I know a person, we're going to refer to this person as Samantha. We cross paths in a lot of professional settings. And I absolutely love Samantha. Samantha is a very, very nice person. She's a very, very nice lady. We got, quite a bit in common. We laugh, we share good kiki from time to time, have a professional lunch here or there, the basics. But one thing that bothers me about Samantha is that when I realized how I always thought she was like significantly older than me because of the way she carried herself. And then when I realized that we were like 2 or 3 years apart, I was like kind of shocked because she's really giving like old lady, and I don't like that. Girl,
Mm.
jazz it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if
Yeah.
she's just real basic, she wears like these neutral colors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never seen her like get her hair braided. And I've been knowing her enough time to like know her through different seasons of life. Like, I've never like known her to get her hair braided, to wear it in a different style. Like, she just get it pressed and just wear it in this little ponytail. Like, I ain't never if I remember correctly, I've never seen her wear like a skirt or like a
So
nice
what
cute
so
dress.
what's a typical like outfit get up for Samantha?
Some baggy like slacks, like straight out the pack from JC Penney, and a real cute, not real cute, but like one of these like polyester blouses that you get for like 7.99 at Marshalls. Like,
Okay.
you know how you get like it always has that little stretchy kind of slinky material, might
Mhm.
have a little floral print on it or something like that.
Yeah, I'm picturing it.
And she might
I'm
just
piecing it
have on
together.
some nice, and and I will say that she has a nice shape. She's a nice physically attractive lady. But it bothers me that Samantha will not step out of this box and like just give herself a little balance. Like, because I be wanting to know, like, you know what I'm saying? Do you be catching some men's or not? Like, is the
So
men's attracted to
now
this?
what will blow your mind is Samantha probably got a hot roster
And she probably
of men.
do. But like, girl, every time I see you, you got on penny loafers or you got on some driving moccasins, and you just wear like a little cardigan and a little top and
Poor
some pants.
Samantha.
And I just don't be feeling it. Like, and she really got the potential to step this thing up. Like, I'd be like, girl, you know what I'm
So like how do you
saying?
have a conversation with somebody like that like without being offensive and like like
I
offering a
don't know. Cause
tone
I be
that's
like,
welcoming?
I don't know, cause she always like, and it's crazy because I step out of the box a lot at work. Like, if I don't have court, I'm like, if I do actually get up and care about what I'm wearing to work on certain days, like I dress, even though I'm supposed to dress semi-conservative, I still dress very nice in my opinion, like different colors, different prints, different stuff. And so when we've seen each other in passing, she'll be like, "Oh my God, that's such a nice outfit," blah blah blah, and then I'll be like, "Girl." So catch the
You
tea. Like,
should say
she'll
but you
ask me like, "Where did you get that from?" And then the next time I see her, which might be like, a few weeks later or whenever, I'll be like, "You don't did nothing. You ain't did nothing."
you should invite her to go shopping with you.
I think I should, but
Just pick
like,
a day and be like, "Hey, what you doing this weekend?"
but I think too the balance is it takes a little bit more than that. Like,
Mhm. Cuz you got to keep it up,
you
right?
gotta keep it up, and then you have to kind of feel it. You gotta kind of want it. Like, if you ever saw those, like, I don't know if you remember back in the day when they used to have like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, or like different shows where they used to like make up these older people or these people who kind of live these basic mundane lives, like no fashion forward, no curating outfits. They just get up, jeans, t-shirt, go to work.
Not
The
really, but
people,
you know what I did see? Clueless.
oh my god.
And you should treat her like Cher and Dion
Yeah, because the people
did
that like
homegirl is
really
give her a
want it and
makeover.
they step out, like they can feel that different confidence and different level of like, yes, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do this. And like, I just want her to keep it up because I just feel like Samantha got a whole lot of potential, but she just gotta kind of step out too. And I feel a lot of that is will also reflect on her professionally, because
Mhm.
in our field, I tend to see that a lot of people tend to respect the black woman who demands and commands the respect.
Mhm.
And that a part of the commanding that respect is presenting yourself very nicely. Like,
Mhm.
you know, your black female attorneys or judges that get a lot of the respect and the power, they dress really nice. You know what I'm saying? They come to work, they
Yeah.
have this confidence, they
That's
have
a good
this
point.
air about themselves that lets those around them know that like I am not to be played with. Like, don't play with me. And I feel like that's a real thing. And I just feel like sometimes Samantha will discuss certain professional gripes with me, that she has. And I'm not saying like, girl, if you dress better, it wouldn't be like that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is,
It might help.
I feel like people will see you as a different type of person
Mm,
if you present yourself as a different type of person to them.
yeah. Well, I hope she gets it figured out. I think that you should mentor her or maybe show some interest in doing so. That could be very helpful coming from another black woman who is respected in the workplace, and you care about what you wear and how you present yourself to the world. I think that will be helpful to just shine a little light on her.
Yeah, I'm gonna
you
get my
know
girl together.
get her
I'm gonna get
together.
her together. Like, cause I know everybody don't do everything. You know what I'm saying? I just want her to like give me a little bit of something. Like when you press that hair out, girl, give me a little bounce. Give me a
Look,
little flip. You know what I'm saying? Don't just go straight through that thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't just comb straight through with the flat iron, girl. I need you to whip it
dang, she
around.
might not even be doing it. Like she might have to just fire her hairstylist and find another one.
Probably so.
That's crazy. Like it's really gonna get there. Like she gonna have to
But
revamp her whole
listen, and then too,
all of the professionals you've been dealing with
yeah,
get
and I
fired.
will and I will say too, like, yeah, I think it's a lot of that too. Like, you just got to be in different places. I think exposure um is a lot of that too. Like when I think about some of the conversations we've had as far as like just lifestyle and familial structure,
Yeah,
um
that makes
the
sense.
exposure just ain't there cuz
Yeah, like who have you seen growing
yeah.
up or who has mentored you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely matters. Well,
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie, my portion of mind body imbalance is drastically different. So I actually have, and maybe this could go into you know what? I'm gonna talk about a couple different things actually. So the first thing is, did you know that chamomile is a mild tranquilizer? You probably knew this, but I don't know. Like it
Yeah, I
is
mean, if you
considered
ingest it in larger quantities, absolutely.
it's considered a mild tranquilizer, and I feel like because it's one of the most widely used herbs, a lot of people don't know that, and they don't realize the effects that it has and the ability that it has to sedate you. I mean, they typically have it at night or if they want to rest. It's really good for anxiety, for calming the nervous
Yeah.
system. But I heard someone say that and I read it. I don't know, something about it being a tranquilizer, like that really,
Well, a lot of people don't realize that poppy
that
seed
really,
has a trace amount of heroin in it.
oh, it sure does.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
Wait, what about sesame seeds?
I think there is something in sesame seed, but I know poppy seed is actually what they use for heroin. Sesame seed, I would have to double check. But yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's similar. Even though it's a mild tranquilizer, chamomile is really good for you. It's really good for the digestive system. If you have an upset stomach, if you're having trouble sleeping, it's good. I like to mix my chamomile with other herbs if I'm trying to rest, like a skull cap and a chamomile tea, maybe a little bit of lemon balm in there. Chef's kiss, we out like a light.
I absolutely love lemon balm or lemon tea, period. Like, my absolute favorite thing in life is Bigelow lemon lift tea. It's the
Yeah,
best.
that's actually a nice one. And I grew some lemon balm last summer. I had a really nice supply of lemon balm that I still have some of it. I stored it, and I'm looking forward to growing some more this summer. But something else I wanted to mention on this uh prior segment of mind, body, and balance is that I was reading that essentially we've been eating salads wrong, most of us, our whole lives. Because when do you typically eat a salad? Like if you're having a full course meal, like how do you? When does the salad fall, or where does the salad fall within that course?
I mean, the salad usually comes in before your entree,
Yeah,
but I usually eat mine whenever I feel like it.
you eat it after ice cream. If you have like a dessert, you'll eat a
Well,
salad
I
after
ain't a
that.
dessert eater either, so that's just don't ask me these
I'm just,
questions,
I'm just
cause
playing. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm just trying to learn more about you.
Well, I don't eat dessert. It's only a handful of places I will eat dessert
I'm
if
not
I
really
eat
big on
dessert.
dessert either. I'm here for the meal. But I learned, and I heard this years ago when I was younger. One of my friends, her uncle had mentioned it when we were out to eat at the dinner table and everyone was eating their salad before their entree. And he said, you're actually supposed to eat it after the entree.
After.
Nobody was listening to him, but he was actually correct,
That's interesting.
apparently. Or maybe he wasn't correct because is there a real right way of doing anything?
Well, my only issue with that is, and here's my legal logical mind, because everything has to make sense.
Let's hear it and then
And
I'm
that
going to
doesn't
bring it
make
home.
sense to me only because who's to say that I'm gonna have an entree? Who's to say what an entree is? It's plenty of times I go to a restaurant and I'll say, listen, give me this, something on the appetizer list. And then when they come back and say, y'all, where did you order entrees? I'll then again order two more things off the appetizer list
Hmm.
and maybe a side or something. So,
Yeah.
what is my entree?
Yeah. That
Or
makes.
sometimes I've really gone to a restaurant
Mhm.
and I literally wanted something sweet,
Mhm.
went and ordered the dessert, ate that because I was supposed to be going for like cocktails and dessert. And as we're sitting there, I'm like, oh, well, I'm hungry. So now we about to order some food. And then I order food.
Yeah. That's a great point to make. I didn't really fully assess it to that level, but what from what I was reading, in some traditions, especially in France and Italy, it's common to serve a salad before the main course. So what that does is it acts as a palate cleanser, and they
Mhm.
typically will have it before they have cheese or dessert to kind of wrap up or like jumpstart the meal. I mean, wrap up the meal. Sorry, I'm thinking of us like we jumpstart our meal with a salad, but they're like
Well, then I
having it
think
after.
also to take that a step further too, that is because, well, I think the issue for one is comparing American and French diets because we already
True.
know the American diet is trash.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
Um, and
episode.
so that's another thing that when you're thinking about a French salad, more than likely, if well, like when I went to Paris, from what I can remember, like your French salad is gonna be like your lettuce, you might have some tomato, maybe one or two other things, and like olive oil and vinegar
Hmm.
or balsamic, and that's it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So that is
Which
definitely
is really good for the gut too.
exactly, and that's
Yeah.
definitely a palate cleanser,
Hmm.
but I'm not a palate cleanser is not romaine lettuce, eggs, cheese, croutons, bacon
Bacon,
bits, French dressing and ranch
diced
dressing
ham,
mix. Yeah, like that's not a palate cleanser, boo. Like that like that's on
extra
some
extra
next
dressing.
level. Yeah, so that's why I could totally see that. Like bringing up France is a big deal because the
Hmm.
ingredients that they're using, it's naturally going to be a palate cleanser. They're doing everything so you can taste the ripeness of the tomatoes, you can taste the freshness of the cheese when you're
Hmm.
talking about like a caprese or something like that. Those are the different salads. You definitely gonna cleanse your palate with that.
Right.
But
So it's interesting you say that in terms of it being lighter and fresher, a fresher meal or fresher portion of the meal, because from what I read, it said that the salad is a way to have a refresher after the meal. And what it does too is it helps you to not feel overly full.
okay,
So after
yeah,
you've eaten your meal, that fiber helps to boost the digestion and break everything down so you don't
makes
feel
sense.
overly full or bloated after a meal.
Yes, and that's why when you go to countries like that, they often offer after dinner cordials and cocktails in the form of like coffee cocktails, like
Mm.
warm cordials and
Mhm.
cocktails because it helps aid in the digestion of your food.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not drinking something cold that's constricting your like your arteries and everything else. You're just sitting here and you're drinking something warm that's making all the food go down.
Yeah. So honestly, I think I'm gonna try having a salad after a meal and see like if it makes a difference. You were talking about the ways in which different beverages are offered
Oh, yes, talking about the hot
after
beverages, yeah,
eating.
so those
Yeah.
hot beverages are supposed to, like, help aid in your digestion, like, that's why you'll see a lot of people drink tea before bedtime, and also back to your earlier point, a chamomile tea especially, because
Mhm.
it helps aid in digestion,
Yep.
so you drink those things before bed because they're supposed to help that last meal digest smoothly and
Mhm.
efficiently before you lay down, so your organs are not like fighting to overwork while you're sleeping.
Right. Let's save that for like a little bit further down because we have sound check up next.
Oh, yes, my favorite part, because
Yeah.
I get to make everybody mad because my music opinions are so unpopular.
So, okay, there's a few things that we're both music heads, so there's so many things that comes to mind, but something that I was considering and thinking about today in terms of music, have you ever just fallen down a rabbit hole and listened to an artist, like they pop up on your playlist and you're like, dang, I wonder what happened to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that way about Cherish, the group Cherish. Like they were
So,
so good, like such a great group. And vocals, beautiful, talented, they could dance. I mean, they just seemed like the
So,
total
in all
package.
honesty, when Cherish was a thing, like during the Cherish era, I never really gave them the credit I guess that they deserve. Like, I just kind of
Hmm.
always like, oh, they Cherish,
You was
whatever.
hating a little bit. That's crazy.
Well, no, I think because in the era that they came out in is when I was living in Atlanta, and we
Mm.
that girl group that people pop and
Mhm.
die down and fizzle, it's so normal. It's like second nature in Atlanta. So it's kind of like you got to show me a little bit more than just, do it, do it, do it. The
Mhm.
whole where we can do it to it. Like that was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when I was into it with my little dope boy boyfriend when I was 18, unappreciated was his ringtone. Like I
Oh
gave
my
him I gave him their
gosh.
props, you know what I'm saying, back then.
Drama.
But I will say when they did that show called The Encore on BET like a few years back, what was like them, Deaconess Pam, aka Pamela Long from Total, Aubrey O'Day, the two sisters from 702, Keely Evans, Nivea, and both of the sisters from Cherish. And I feel like it was somebody else, but maybe not. I didn't realize that they did go down a rabbit hole because there was one episode where, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Pam, she got into it with them because she was like, y'all young. Like, who are y'all? I don't even know y'all. I'm like, baby girl, I'm from Total. And they was like, well, we did this, and this. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know. Like, they do have a lot of writing credits that I didn't know about
Oh, see, that's news to
and
me.
things of that
I didn't know they
nature.
had the pen
So,
too.
yeah, so I do give them a little bit more credit than I gave them when they really came out. But Pam was going ham on that show. Like, that show was crazy.
Yeah, I've never seen that
So
show.
much so that I wanted to come back. Like like
We'll see. Maybe they're thinking about
like
it.
because Pam was on there denouncing her homosexuality harder than these
Oh my
Greeks be denouncing their
god.
letters on social media, girl. It was just
Shut
crazy.
up. Don't.
Like she didn't even want people to bring it up. Like people was like, yeah, didn't you have a girl? She'd be like, I ain't talking about that. Like she was cutting them off. Like she wasn't even letting them finish the thought. Like if they were
They
bringing
really
up,
brought that up during the
yes, because they were
show?
talking about relationships, and because I think Keely
Um,
or Aubrey, like one of them talked about them having an attraction to a woman, and she was like, I don't play that. Like she was very adamant about it. And so I want to put a pin in that. We could talk about that too in another episode because that was a lot to unpack. And I think before we even talk about it, you should go back and watch that because she just her storyline and how she interacted with the other girls was a lot. Because I will say, in my own opinion, I do kind of regard her as a legend in this industry. Like Total did not get a lot of the respect they should have gotten, but there was so much scandal surrounding Total in the group and out of the group with outside forces
mm,
that a lot of people don't realize, and she talks about it on the show too. So
it's
it
very
was very
sad when
good
that
to see her.
happens.
Yeah, it was very good to see her on that show, like getting some kind of redemption and like putting her name back out there, because some of the younger girls legitimately did not know who she was. And
That's
but the
wild.
older girls was like, you don't know who this is? Like this is Total. And they was like, Total? Like what? Like they were really
Yeah,
shocked.
that's really wild.
Especially because of the way she presented herself on the show too. Like she didn't give old school 90s R&B diva. Like
Right.
she is an extremely humble being, and I think a lot of what she went through that pushed her in a very religious direction
Mhm.
has all like kind of changed who she is and how she presents herself. And you can tell by like the conversation she had with the girls on the show, and she kind of automatically took this auntie mothering role
Mhm.
with them because she was just older with a lot more wisdom, I think, as far as the industry is concerned. So that was a really good show.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll bring it back. I definitely think that Cherish had a great run. I would love to see them like make a comeback, and maybe they have put some stuff out and I'm just unaware of it, but when I was listening to their first album, I'm like, dang, I really enjoyed this. Chevy and Amnesia. Chevy was my joint. I really loved Amnesia and of course Unappreciated, the bops that was on the radio. Those were really cool. But yeah, I felt on a little cherish, like a nostalgia kind of rabbit hole listening to their music. Like I wonder what happened to them. I hope they're doing all right. That's my 2 cents for sound check. So, did you have something else you wanted to share within sound check, or do you want to jump into rhythm and groove?
um, I guess it kind of overlaps the two. You mentioned you started talking about it before we started recording. You said you wanted to bring it up, so I think it's a good way to segue into rhythm and groove, which is our dating and sex portion
Mm.
of the show. But I do want to. I want to get into the nitty gritty and just kind of talk about this Bobby Womack situation
I was
for a
about to
little
say,
bit
are we about to talk
because
about Bobby
I
Womack?
love Sam Cooke. Like I ain't gonna lie to y'all, Sam Cooke is somebody that I listen to at least once or twice a week, just on a whim. Like I'll put one of the greatest hits on and just let it play. Like that was me and my grandparents. Like we love Sam Cooke.
So, what happened between him and Bobby Womack? Because I've been seeing a lot of wild shit on the internet about how
So
Bobby Womack integrated himself into Sam Cooke's household.
well, he didn't really integrate himself into it. He was already in it. So like
Oh wow.
so the way the story goes, which is the story as far as I'm concerned, it's never been disputed, but Sam Cooke had a record label and he signed a group of young teenagers. And it was Bobby Womack and his siblings or brothers, like, cousins, whatever, around that age, that group. So naturally, you know how that thing went back in that time. Like when you had you a group or two, you kind of took these people with you everywhere as your protege. They're around you, your
Mm-hmm.
family, everything, because especially as black artists in that 60s era, we were all we had. So, they ate dinner with your family, all of this other stuff, because more than likely they were in your living room rehearsing
Right.
for whatever little
So
talent show
that
they was gonna be in next.
right. So that's how he kind of came about. And
Yes. So Bobby Womack, so 2 months after Sam Cooke died, Bobby Womack took up with Sam Cooke's wife, Barbara Cook. So, but to backtrack a little bit, when Barbara and Sam got married, they had 3 kids. Barbara and Sam had a daughter named Linda. So Bobby and Barbara spend some years together after Sam passes away. They break up because Barbara finds out that Bobby is sleeping with Linda, his stepdaughter,
mm,
the daughter
mm,
of
mm,
Sam Cooke and
mm.
Barbara. So
It's
when
very
Barbara and
wild.
Bobby break up, instead of him saying like, "Oh, this ain't right because I'm sleeping with my stepdaughter," he continues to see the stepdaughter.
Mm.
But where the story usually leaves off is that people usually leave the story there. That's not where the story ends. The story ends when him and Linda break up. Linda then gets married to a man named Cecil.
Oh
Cecil
wow.
Womack, Bobby Womack's brother.
Oh
So
yeah. No.
you and your stepdaughter break up, and now she go to be with her step uncle.
That is yeah. That's very wild.
And
I didn't
she was
know.
married to him until he passed away, like at some point. But yes.
I have no words. I've seen the greater part of this story that you just told, or the bulk of the story. I would say there's no great part of this story. I've seen it online, and I've seen it from like different people saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And somebody in one of the posts that I was looking at, someone in the comments said, Bobby Womack can't come to my house to this day. Rest in peace to Bobby Womack. He passed away.
Yeah.
But that is a very wild
I mean,
story.
but
And I
there's
did not know
also
the
a
other side of
picture.
that.
I mean, back in the day, they were just crazy because there's also a picture circulating. I mean, unrelated but related to like wild celebrity side pieces or couples or whatever. Um, there's a picture circulating of the O.J. Simpson trial where Robert
Mm.
Kardashian is at the defense table. If I'm not mistaken, he might be up in the middle of an examination, like of a direct or a cross examination. But nonetheless, there's Robert Kardashian, OJ sitting at the table. We remember
Mhm.
the rumors about Kris Jenner and OJ. Everybody say that they
Mm.
believe that OJ was Chloe's daddy. That's why she looks so different and not
Oh,
as
wow.
I mean, not Albanian. Goodness gracious. What is their nationality? Armenian. As the other two, she
Mm.
doesn't look like Courtney and Kim. Chloe doesn't, not as much as they look like each other. So that was the supposed rumor
Mhm.
about her and OJ, but she was sitting in the galley next to Bruce Jenner.
Hmm.
So your husband is defending the man that everybody says that you're having an affair with at a trial for
Mhm.
murdering a lady that was supposed to be your best friend. Her and Nicole Simpson were best friends. So
Oh, I
you
didn't
had
know that.
supposedly been sleeping with. So the rumor was that she was sleeping with OJ behind Nicole's back.
Hmm.
That didn't have anything to do with the murder, but that's what everybody was saying. At some point in time, her and OJ had an intimate relationship. But your husband, nonetheless, is the defense attorney defending your supposed side piece for murdering your best friend while you're sitting next to the man that you're about to get married to soon
Mm.
after Robert Kardashian died. So you obviously had some kind of relationship with Bruce already, because as soon as Robbie Kardashian passed away, that's who you got married to.
See, this is the celebrity tea that I don't be knowing nothing about. I mean, alleged tea, of course, because we don't really know. That's always my go-to. Like, I don't be knowing what people be having going on. But that is very interesting. I've never seen that picture. And I don't know too much about a lot of celebrities, but especially like that situation, the Kardashians. Like, I never got too deep into them. But every time I hear something, it's always so interesting to me. And
I
that's
don't
a
really
very
fool with
interesting
them
perspective.
very much.
A lot of people don't. And, and I've heard people's arguments as to why they don't. And I'm like, oh, I can see that, you know. But again, just I be taking stuff with a grain of salt. But
Yeah.
I wanna mention something for Rhythm and Groove. It is this documentary that my therapist told me to watch a while ago, and I watched it. It's a show that is on Netflix. It's called Sex, Love, and Goop, and it is organized, if you will, by Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's a very interesting show. So it's about, or it showcases different couples coming onto this show with the help of experts, and they are taught different lessons about intimacy, sex, and identifying how to reach a deeper level of intimacy with their partners. Again, my therapist like recommended it to me just as like something that she thought will be interesting for me to watch and to learn from. And it's partially because of what I'm looking to go into with women and gender studies. It was very enlightening, if you will, and it was super engaging. And what I really liked about this documentary is it showed different types of couples, traditional, non traditional, and also one of the couples that was on there was a black couple, and the black couple was specifically looking for a different level of intimacy, but really identifying what pleasure looks like for them. And
Okay.
it was really largely based around the woman that was in the relationship with her husband. They were trying to identify what brought her pleasure. And I felt that that was so interesting because sex is largely often based around the man and what's
Absolutely.
pleasurable for him. But this particular situation, not only were they black, and we don't really talk about sex enough in the black community without having that overarching stigma of shame associated with it, but we also don't talk about what's pleasurable, to us. And if it does come up, I don't feel that a lot of people are honest about it. Because what she found out was that she actually identified as kinky. There's like this test that they have them take that asks them a series of questions to help them identify which direction to go into. And she found out that she really liked kinks, or she had like different kinks that will bring her pleasure. So, if this sounds interesting to you. I think that you should watch the documentary. It is on Netflix again, and there's only one season of it, so it's not super long. I think it's like 9 episodes, but I feel like everybody could learn something from watching the show because the practitioners on there, even I appreciate it because they all had a different scope and a different outlook and practice of navigating education around intimacy. So that is my tidbit for rhythm and groove. Did you have questions for me?
No,
You looking like you
I
have
just find it interesting. Because I don't
like you
want to
have
get into a whole
questions.
thing because it'll just like go down this. It'll go into a thousand different directions. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that there was a black couple on there and they were able to explore that because a lot of, I think, the issue with sex positivity and just a little bit of honesty and openness regarding sex and sex practices in the black community,
Mhm.
there's a lot of shame and
Mhm.
stigmatization around it. And that's why you have a robust number of people like males on the down low. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Mhm.
even with like women, you know what I'm saying? I think that there's this overarching theme of like well, we aren't supposed to do that, like I think traditionally sometimes we always hear that, oh, they're like, oh, well, that's stuff that white people do, like, it's like, oh, well, we can't do that. And it's
Yeah.
just like, well, I get, I'm black and they're white and vice versa or whatever the case may be, but our bodies are still physical bodies. They all desire pleasure and experience pleasure in a myriad of ways that you just can't box stuff in.
I
And I
mean,
won't say
even
that like I'm the most sex positive person because certain stuff I will kink shame you about. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's certain stuff that I'm like, hey, that's just gross. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
at the same time, like somebody might see or hear or know about something that I enjoy and they might be like, girl, that is out of control. And I might be like, how? Like, I think that's perfectly normal. It's
Yeah,
just
that's what's
perfectly
pleasurable
fine.
to you.
Yeah. So I think a lot of that too.
So even with you saying, talking about what occurs in the black community and how shame is such a big factor of the discussions around sex and having healthy discussions, educational discussions around sex. I think that was part of like why it was interesting to see a black couple on there because you said, some people might be like, oh, this is like, this is not something that we would do. But it's like, no, actually, it's something we should be doing. And it's inspiring to see people like that on a show that is not, might not be considered a traditional show that you will watch discussing real life topics around sex and relationships and intimacy. It's important to have representation on shows like this so people can know that these discussions are normal, they're
Yes.
natural, and it's okay to seek help, to seek therapy if you're trying to build a greater bridge to intimacy with your partner, or if you're just trying to understand your body better and understand what's pleasurable to you. I think that it's important for people to see that and
And I
see
think
people that look like us getting help.
also on the adverse, I know we're talking about people just opening themselves to being open to pleasure and different experiences, but I also think um mainly this is a bit towards younger black women. And I might say males too, but I'm not a male, so I don't know. I haven't had those discussions with other males. But as young black women, I want, like, my pray for young black women is to know that you can also say that I don't like this. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't
Mhm.
want people to feel so compelled, especially young black women. Like in our culture, I feel like, a lot of younger black girls, especially with us seeing on social media and stuff now, they glorify like being with somebody older. And
Mhm.
I think that while I think that there are some May December relationships, with men and women that work out for some people, but I think that it requires a person to have a voice
Mm.
when you're dealing with somebody older than you, whether it's a woman or a man. And I think especially to women, that's when we draw that line of like, is this too much or is it not? And I don't want people to get so caught up in like trying to please this older person that you're doing something that they like. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you
Yeah.
don't like. And I don't want women to feel compelled to be like, well, this is what they like. And if I don't do it, you know, they're gonna go and do it with somebody else. Well, go let them. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Yeah.
it's somebody else that you could be with that can enjoy pleasure the way you enjoy it. That's for
Mhm.
you, you know. And I think we get so caught up in, well, just trying to once again please a man or to check a box of, well,
Yeah.
this is what he wants. Let me just try it because if I don't do it, it'll get done somewhere else.
Mhm.
Well, you know, and then once again, I think that opens that door of, why do we have to let tradition dictate what works for us? I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like when you're young, especially when you're young, it's so many options that of things that you can have and you can figure out what works for you. Like if you're with somebody and you really want to be with this person and they want to do something sexually that you don't like, I mean, if you're okay with them doing it with somebody else, y'all set that boundary. Like other people don't have to dictate because that doesn't work for their relationship. Doesn't mean it's not going to work for yours. But
Mhm.
all of that requires open and honest communication. And I think all of that, like just sex or pleasure in general, the foundation is communication because you have to be able to communicate to somebody what you like and what you don't like.
Mhm.
You know, some things you might like might be something that they absolutely don't like or they absolutely love and you don't like it, but that doesn't mean that there can't be some kind of middle ground
Right.
found within that.
There's a lot of missing communication that's not happening within the bedroom, outside of the bedroom, around relationships and sex and pleasure. And really, I feel like it just boils down to what I've mentioned.
Mm,
It comes down to decentering men, from the idea of pleasure and
yes.
sexual experiences and relationships. Like, we have to, as women, be more vocal and what brings us pleasure, what we like, what we don't like, what we're going to go for, what we're not, without having that shame, that fear. I feel like if you have these different things in your relationship, it should be questionable to begin with. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, like if I'm intimate with somebody, I feel like at this big age, I want to be able to sit down and talk about, hey,
Yeah.
and even like debrief after, a sexual experience. What did you like about this? Is there something I did that you did not like? Like, I feel like a lot of people are not having those conversations, and that's really what's missing.
Yeah.
So I hope that there can be some changes in the future for many of us. And I'm just always looking forward to learning more about stuff like this because it's so interesting. Just the science of pleasure and sex is in relationships, such interesting topics because we're just scratching the surface here,
S-
with what I mentioned. But again, if you're interested in a show like this, go check it out. I promise you will probably learn something. I trust that you will learn something. I definitely learned a lot. If for nothing else, like, watch it and have conversations with your friends and see if they can watch it. And I don't know, we just really need to start talking to each other about
yeah.
this
What
because we're
and
more
just
alike than we are different.
another quick thing to kind of connect the dots to our earlier conversation about reading. So I literally just read a book and I haven't even discussed this book with people because I'm not a fan of the structure of the book, but it was like a few short stories, and it was called The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, or The Secret Sex Lives of Church Ladies, or something like
Hmm.
that.
That sounds interesting.
But it was pretty much about five different women and their struggles of trying to claim and or reclaim their sexuality based on things that they were taught or the misinformation that they were taught by either matriarchal figures in their life or from church,
Mm,
and like one girl talked about how she equated, like, like sex with being a good homemaker because her mother was having sex with the pastor, but he was coming over to eat dinner. Like that's how she knew that her mama was getting ready to have sex with the pastor, is because her mama would make a big dinner and nobody was
that's
allowed
very
to touch
wild.
it. And like, so
That is fucking
yes,
wild.
so she kept like equating her sex with pie. Like she kept saying like, one day I'm gonna make some man happy with my pie, and I'm gonna make a good sweet potato pie like my mom. Like, but she
Mm,
didn't realize like what was being indoctrinated in her.
right.
Like, so it was a really interesting thing because I think that we tend to overlook what role religion plays and how we view a lot of these things too.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about, sex and kinks, and physical pleasure and desires. I think a lot of people are, how can I say this? I don't want to say bound, but are being limited by their religious constraints.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And
While at the
a
same
lot of
time, there's a lot of sexual exploration going on in the church.
that
That's a
is
whole nother
that is a
conversation.
whole nother
Like, that's why
conversation.
it's such a big issue, is because it's like you telling us not to do this, and then I'm seeing my pastor and his first lady, and then after church he comes to my house
I mean,
to
all
be
of
in the
this
room
is
with my
so
mama.
interconnected though, because a lot of religions are male dominated, and the ways in which people experience life and what they're comfortable with, what they can talk about, even just down to watching the actions in your case, which you just expressed, watching the actions of their parents and how they correlates with, religion, religious practices, or just how people associate stuff. We just never know,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
can really drive those thoughts. But I think that some of the things we mentioned, we can definitely put a pin in and further discuss. I want to jump into the delicious dive, but I think I'm going to save my portion for the sake of time. I will share that for next episode because I think it's really interesting, and I really feel like people don't know as much as we should know about this particular person in
And you know
history.
what? To your point about that, let's save it, because I believe that can be, we can make that into a thing for all of next month.
Hmm.
Let's roll with that.
Yeah.
Because I believe there's some other people that we can explore
Yeah.
and talk
That
about
makes
for that
sense.
segment too.
Yeah, that makes sense. We can definitely do that, especially being on the brink of gardening season.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
It all
Yes.
ties together.
Yes.
So, did you
So,
have something that you wanted to share for the delicious dive?
yes. So, I have not tried it as yet. So, this is kind of a two-part thing. So, I have this new, like, I'm not going to say new, because I've always liked them, but I have this like re-emerging love for oysters. And so, somebody told me about the Detroit Oyster Boys the other day, so I'm actually looking forward to, so I'm gonna come back and we're gonna discuss that on our next episode. But I'm
I am
looking
so
forward to
curious.
going this week. So that's one of the things I'm doing this week, is going to try out. They have like Philly cheesesteak oysters. They have them like stuffed with like crab and crawfish meat, and like, I mean, it just sounds real fat and delicious and kind of like right up my alley. But speaking of that, so like, the other side of me likes to scroll and find TikTok recipes. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
a few months ago, when this oyster reemerging came about, I got on TikTok and they were talking about poor man's oyster Rockefeller. So essentially, what it is just, you get a tin of canned oysters, you drain the oil, you put a little garlic, which is what I call garlic that you get in a jar, because it's not fresh. So you get a little garlic, you put it on there, get a few pats of butter. I think it's like two little slices of butter. You season it with a little Old Bay, a little Tony Chachere's season,
Hmm.
put some Parmesan cheese on top, and you put it in the air fryer, like all in the tin, for like 5 or 7 minutes, just so the cheese can melt.
You don't take it out of the tin?
No.
That sounds so dangerous for some reason.
I mean, it probably
I know what I'm
is.
associating it with. Like
Yes.
that's like the equivalent of putting aluminum foil in a microwave to me.
Yeah, but it ain't that though.
I know, like I don't know why, but that's what my
I
brain
mean, because you
diverted
can either
to.
do it in the air fryer or do it in the oven, but it's the same thing. It's gonna come out the same way.
I just feel like you're not supposed to do that.
You can.
Yeah, I like you probably
I
yeah.
mean, because
I trust that you know you
I know you
can.
probably put foil in your air fryer, because I know you don't be raw dogging no air fryer.
They have air fryer
I have
pads.
those too.
The
I got the
silicone
silicone
ones.
ones and I got the bamboo, like the paper, the
We
disposable
definitely put the
ones.
foil in there though.
Okay, yes,
And
that's the same
it's
thing.
I don't know why. Like my mind was just like, dang, that sounds very
But
dangerous.
it's the
Even
same
though I do
thing.
that.
Yes, yes, because ain't
Yeah.
nobody raw dog in no air fryer.
Especially
That
with no
that is
oysters,
a dangerous
which
life because I don't want no oil and grease at the bottom of that. You know how hard it is to scrub that basket?
now listen, you ain't gotta tell me. I already know.
But yeah, so poor
S-
man oysters are
So how
such
was
a
it?
thing. They're actually really, really delicious. I get a little fancy. Like other people been doing theirs and eating them with saltine crackers. You can put a little hot sauce on it too. Some
Mm,
people do theirs with saltine crackers, but I got fancy and I bought some Mediterranean style pita chips.
yeah, that sounds very on brand for you.
Yeah, so I've been eating my oysters with that. And that right there, when I tell you that is a nice little treat, like a little appetizer when it's that like 4 o'clock hour, it's after lunch, but it's too early for dinner.
Mm.
That's my 4 o'clock snack.
You know, Tosh, that sounds all fine and dandy, and I think that you should record your experience going to the Detroit Boys uh, oyster restaurant and let us know how it is. But I am not an oyster girly, and I think that's something that everyone that listens to this pod should know. I think it seems like such a wonderful thing to engage in. I feel like it's almost like a social skill, the way that people talk about oysters and say, hey, you want to go for oysters? Let's go get some drinks of oysters. Like that just seems like such a great
Well, a lot
thing.
of them always get raw ones, and now that is something I would never do because I
Yeah.
have a texture thing, and that slurping, that slime,
Yeah.
like I that's kind of
So I'm a texture person too, and you just made me think of two experiences I've had. I know I didn't share the one experience specifically around oysters. Let's talk about that first and why I don't like oysters. So I'm willing to try stuff, that doesn't look appealing to me and I don't think I would like. I will try it and say, so I can actually say, no, I don't care for that, right? We were in Arizona, my best friend and I, we went on vacation for my birthday one year and we just did all these wonderful things like we went and rode a hot air balloon, rode horses at sunset. Like it was just a beautiful vacation. And we topped off the vacation with the nice fancy dinner at this seafood restaurant in I don't think it's in Phoenix. It was in Scottsdale. So we get there and she has this thing about like trying things, new experiences and I'm all for it. I am, like I said, I would try it. She orders oyster Rockefeller.
hmm
And so she's explaining to me, like, they're cooked. And I'm like, okay, like, I'll try it. And I'm looking at the plate and I'm like, maybe this won't be too bad. So I eat the oyster and when I tell you like that oyster sat in my mouth, like I could not swallow it. And she looked at me like a parent looking at a kid was like, you bet not spit that out in here. Like we're in the middle of this fancy restaurant. We're in between, people, they're all suited and everybody's just having a good time eating their oysters and their lobster. And I'm looking dead at her like, I can't believe that I'm like, this is just sitting in my mouth. Like, I could not chew it, I couldn't swallow it. So I ended up just grabbing my glass and just tossing down the oyster with like I think I had like an alcoholic beverage that I just washed it down with. And ever since then, that had to be like at least 3 years ago now. I haven't touched the oyster. I have no interest in it. When I see them on social media, I immediately scroll past them. I just don't care.
Yeah, see, I can't do the raw ones with the lemon juice and the Tabasco.
I'm so
And
good.
I can only do what like the little poor man's Rockefeller when I make it at home because a lot of restaurants make it, and as far as I know, it comes with like bacon, and I don't do swine, so I stay away from that at restaurants. But that's why another reason why I'm so excited to try the Oyster Boys because, like I said, they have different ones that are seafood stuff, like other seafood stuffed into the oysters, and I
Mhm.
think that that's perfect. Like they do have something that's supposed to be like buffalo chicken, and I'm like, that's just some ghetto shit. Like I ain't trying to be funny, but I don't
But
want no buffalo chicken on no oyster. Like that's
that
just
sounds interesting.
doing the
I
most.
still wouldn't eat it, but it does sound interesting to have it paired with different things in that way. And I'm just curious, like, what makes oysters tasty to other people? because although I did not like them, I didn't like the texture of it. And I mean, you can taste like the cheese and stuff that was melted on there, right? But when people eat them raw, it's like, what do they
What's the
taste like?
purpose of that?
Because they kind of take on, I guess they take on the flavor of whatever you put them on, but like, what is so tasty about these that you will allow someone to shuck all these oysters and just eat them whole like that?
That's why I'm interested in trying the Oyster Boys because, like you said, it gives different like flavors. Like I'm just trying to pull up. That's what that little noise was, y'all. I was trying to pull up this menu just to give an idea. So like they do have a raw version at the Oyster Boys,
Mm.
or you can get what's called the Hot Boys with cheese, bacon, and jalapeno. Clearly, I'm not gonna try that, but what I want to
That's good
try
marketing though.
is the Ocean Prime.
I
It's the
like that.
shrimp, crawfish, crab, and parmesan.
Mm.
Then they have the pink. I'm assuming this is supposed to be the pink panther, but it doesn't say that on the menu. There's a
Mm.
typo.
Okay.
But that one has blackened salmon and parmesan garlic.
Hmm.
Then they have seafood overload, which is shrimp, crawfish, crab, parmesan lobster, or lump crab.
In theory, all of this sounds wonderful, but I just still don't feel like I
Yeah.
could do it
And then they
because
have the crab ragoon, which is cream cheese, crab, and mozzarella
mm-mm.
cheese. Like,
It's that I can taste it now. Like just talking about like the sliminess. Like
but
no.
what I'm saying is with them cooking and putting all that stuff on there, I don't think you're gonna run the risk of it being slimy because in order for them to melt that cheese and put all that other stuff on it, you're not gonna.
Even when it was Rockefeller, like it was just something about it.
It just
Like
might have been how they cooked it. These are black people
I
here
don't
at this
know if it
establishment,
was
so I
like,
feel like you might like them because black people tend to cook their stuff a little bit longer
but maybe it's a
than.
mental thing too of like knowing that's what this is, and like I think about the ways that I've watched other people eat them, and I just
Yeah.
be like, oh, I just couldn't do that. So maybe it's a little bit of a combination. I'm not sure, but it does remind me of the second thing that I wanted to talk about, my experience of eating escargot for the first time, and that's when I realized like, okay, I'm truly a texture person
Mm-mm.
because have you tried escargot?
Nope, and nope, and I won't. Every time I order something, I tell them no, hold it. Like I don't want it. Like if
Okay,
I go somewhere,
so
like with sushi and stuff,
yeah,
mm-mm.
escargot, like a part of me feels like maybe I do want to try it one more time, made differently, like at a more upscale establishment, if you will, and have it like cooked in a shell
Yeah.
with like the white wine and the butter and everything, garlic. I don't know because that was another. It's very chewy. Like
Oh
it just
yeah,
never
no.
like broke down, and it the taste of it reminded me of like mushrooms in a way, which it makes
And
sense because it's very earthly. It's
I'm a
earthy
mushroom
being.
lover, but I don't know. Like so, when I was growing up, when I was younger, like I used to be like, oh, I can't wait to eat caviar. I just knew that was the epitome of like being fancy and being rich.
Yeah, how was that?
But when I got older and I could afford caviar, I realized I was allergic to eggs. So I don't know if that's
Mm.
exclusive to chicken eggs or fish eggs too. So I just have never like outside of the texture and this like just the look of it, I haven't tried them just because I don't know if I'm gonna have a reaction. And I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm not gonna pay that much.
I feel like it might just be chicken eggs because they're two completely different specimens, you know?
Yeah, but I don't want to take no
You don't want to
chances.
take a
I'm
risk.
good.
Would
I'm
you like
good.
would you
Like
be willing to go to the doctor and like get an allergen test just to see?
I mean, that's how I found out I was allergic to eggs. But
They can't
yeah,
tell you like what
I
kind
mean,
that get more
no, she
granular
just
about
she
it.
just said eggs, but they're just probably thinking regular eggs. Like I guarantee you, they ain't testing nobody for caviar.
You're right. Because
Um,
who's coming in here saying test me for
yes,
caviar?
please. Every time I get caviar, I get an out break. Please let me know if I'm allergic or not. Like, no, they're like, no, ma'am, girl, you can't eat them 3.99 eggs from Kroger. That's what they were saying.
You never know.
But I don't know. Every time I see people, the way I see people eat it too, like kind of turns me off. And it's weird because I'm a texture person, but I
Mhm.
can do boba. Like I could do boba
Mm-mm.
tea
Nope. No
and
bubba.
that kind of stuff. Like I love the tapioca beads.
Mm-mm. No, no,
Um,
ma'am. I'm good on all of
but I
that.
can't do like gushers and other stuff. Like I'm a weird texture person
I like gushers
because
though, which is weird.
I'm a texture person and it's a lot of stuff that I won't eat for the same reason. Like, for example, I won't eat tomatoes, I won't eat onions. It's certain stuff I won't eat because I feel like it's slimy. But then I will tear some okra up. Like, I just bought a pack of
Slimy. That's
okra
like the epitome of
today
slime.
at the grocery store. Got a whole fresh pack of okra in the refrigerator right
Do
now,
you
ready
drink
to.
okra water?
No, I haven't made I keep saying I'm gonna make it, but see the thing is, every time I buy okra, I'm not trying to be funny, but I just cook it and eat it, and it's so hard to find. Like, it's not one of those things that you can just always go in a grocery store and get. Like, they
Hmm.
literally just have to have it.
You fry it.
No, I either cut it in little rounds or I split it down the middle and I oil it with some olive oil or some grapeseed oil and season it, and then I roast it in the oven,
Mm, mm. Yeah, no, I never had it that way, but
make it
I
kind of
love some fried
crunchy.
okra. That's really good.
Yeah, I like it fried. I like it pickled. I like it roasted. I like it any kind of way. That's the which is weird because
You know,
what?
you sound like Bubba off of Forrest Gump talking
Uh-huh.
about shrimp.
Yes, any kind.
He's
Listen,
talking
I
about
love some pickled okra.
all the
Pickled okra
different
is
ways to eat
so
shrimp.
good. Fried okra with some hot sauce. I mean, you name it, I'll eat it if it's okra. But other stuff, I can't do it. I can't do the slime.
Well,
I won't eat a tomato,
trust me, I greatly
but I'll
understand.
drink V8 like it ain't nobody business. I
Mm.
love a fresh cold V8 with a squeeze of little lemon juice in it.
Similar to how I feel about banana flavored stuff. I don't particularly care for banana flavored things, but I will eat a banana. I also don't mind it in a smoothie. It's weird, and you can really taste the banana in a smoothie.
Oh, I
I
love
think it's
bananas.
it's the artificial taste of banana that I don't like
Mm.
banana now and laters and
And I
candies,
love banana now
stuff
letters.
like
I don't
that.
like any other banana
No,
flavored candy, but banana flavored now letters are my favorite.
I'm so good on that.
Yeah.
I'm good on that. Yeah. Well, that's that. That's all about our taste buds, y'all. If y'all ever want to send us some snacks or anything, now you know what our flavor profile is a little bit. But let's jump into counsel and confessions because we got some entries. So we're only going to share one this episode, and we're looking forward to sharing the others in future episodes. So if you would like to submit a spicy story, a sexy story, or just something that happened that you find is very interesting and you want to share on the pod, send it to us at the soulfulstir@gmail.com. Or you can send it to us via DM as well on Instagram. We are on Instagram at the Soulful Stir. We're getting our followers up. We're, getting our engagement all together. We're looking forward to it. So again, shoot us an email or send us a DM. We're happy to share your story. And we won't share your name or anything. We'll keep everything private so no one knows who you are.
So on this week's counseling confessions, this is a pretty quick one, but it's actually kind of wild. It's a wild story. So we did get an entry, where there's a person. We're gonna obviously she's this person is a woman because you're gonna obviously pick that out through the story. But we were told this person said, and I quote, "I used to have my auntie sell weed for me when I was pregnant. Then she got money hungry, so I stopped."
This is very interesting.
And I'm laughing because I was like, "What?" Like, my antennas went up. I'm like, "Huh?" So she continues with the story, and she was like, "Well, essentially, I guess her aunt had like a trap house, and she was already the person who wrote in was already selling weed, and because her aunt had this trap house, so she got this location. She already got this, pre-existing business, so to speak. They decided to do business together, but once the aunt saw that our writer wrote was making more money than she was, and she started asking for more of a cut, then our writer was like, nah. So when she said no, they kind of ended their little business agreement. I thought that was really, really funny because what?
Yeah.
Like, just what? Like, I just never, first of all, shouts out to you, Queen, for choosing not to sell your own weed while you was pregnant, because that's highly, highly dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's already dangerous selling weed anyway, but while you're pregnant, you're extremely vulnerable. So thank you. Shout out to you for having the foresight to not get involved while you were pregnant. But like, auntie kind of crazy though. Like, I just don't foresee me, selling weed for my nieces and then being like, hey, I need a cut off top because if you don't give me no cut, then business shop is closed. Like I just feel like that's kind of weird. And then I don't think I would ever be wanting to sell weed with my aunties either. Like I just don't think I could do it. What about you?
Yeah, no, I definitely am not doing that. That takes a lot of courage. And that's a very interesting, unorthodox business relationship.
Absolutely. Like,
Yeah, I don't think I could do that though.
yeah, and I ain't never had the desire of availability to be a drug dealer. To be a drug dealer requires a lot of work.
To
Like,
be good at it, at least.
well, yeah, but just even to be able to amass a clientele and to have regular customers, you
Yeah.
always got to be ready, willing, and waiting for somebody to call you and be like, "Yeah, I need to pull up on you. I need this. Can you spot me this until next week?" Like that's a lot of keeping up with people that you got to do. That's a lot of like keeping up with situations you got to do, and then you got to be available. Like,
I
and
mean,
I
it's
just
a
don't want to be
business.
available like that.
It's a business, it's marketing, it's communication, it's building relationships with your clientele, right? And
Yeah.
also, of course, the large portion of it is managing your money. So it's a full
Well, I'm
business.
like Big
It's a
Red, baby.
full business
My
picture.
office hours is from 9 to 5. Don't be calling me at 8 o'clock
Yeah.
while I'm at grocery store talking about
Nah.
you about to pull up. You gonna meet me at the Shell because you need this and this before you go home. Like I ain't got time for
Your clientele in that,
that.
form of business, in that industry, they do not
No,
care.
they don't. They
They
don't
do
care
not
about
care.
nothing. They be like, "Your grandma died. Yes, I'm over here about to give my remarks in a minute. Can you meet me outside
Like
before the repast?" Like they don't care. So no, I just could never
they
do that.
don't.
But I will say once again, shout out to that queen for not wanting to sell no weed while she was pregnant. And then I will kind of say, even though
Yeah.
Auntie got a little greedy, shout out to Auntie too because at least she was trying to help.
She
Like
was
I
trying to
feel
hold it
like
down.
her intentions was good, in the beginning, but cue to OJ's for the love of money. She just got a little greedy and she got a little ahead of herself. But we still love you, Auntie. We still love you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for that story. Thanks for sending it in. We appreciate you. We're looking forward to sharing more stories on the pod in the coming days, future episodes. So, again, follow us at The Soulful Stir on Instagram and send us those stories that you have at the soulful stir at gmail.com or via DM on Instagram. Either way, we'll get it. Let's jump into the sanctuary scoop.
Do you have announcements? What do you have going for us?
Um,
Deaconess Diamond, what you got for us?
Deaconess Diamond is so funny. So, I just said what my announcement would be is just, keep up with us on Instagram and send us those stories. But we will also have events coming up
Yes.
in the future. And we want you guys to be on the lookout for these events because we're looking to socialize and continue to build our platform and our pod and genuinely get to know, some people that are interested in getting to know us as well and building new relationships and networking with you guys and hopefully also creating new opportunities for you all to connect with others as well. So that will be that's my announcement, if you will.
Well, in addition to our social media blurb, also make sure you follow us on YouTube. That is, I guess, an official pod announcement that in the next coming episodes, we will be introducing visual episodes. So you will still be able to listen to us on your favorite podcast platform, but you will also be able to watch us, on a visual episode on YouTube as well. So make sure you follow us on YouTube so you can get those updates when they are available. Also, just look out for, if you want to go and have your experience. I will say this: it's not necessarily an announcement, but if you've been to the Detroit Oyster Boys, and I hate when I keep saying it like that, but if you've been to the Detroit Oyster Boys already, hit us up on the Soulful Stir. Send us a DM. Let us know how your experience was. Let us know what your favorite oysters were. I'm going this week towards the end of the week. So let us know what you tried and how you liked it. And then we can compare and
Let
take some
Tosh
notes.
know.
Yeah.
because I would not be
Let
trying any
us
more
know. These
oysters.
are let us know because maybe if y'all write a good review, Diamond will want to try an oyster. Okay.
Absolutely not.
So write us in, let us know, send us some DMs, and let us know what your experience were if you did try the Oyster Boys, and what flavors did you try? Let me know so I can get some different stuff on my list.
I would cheer you on from the wings, and I will hold your things, hold your coat, your purse, and things while you have an exceptional
Well, they
dining
have other things. They have
experience.
seafood boils. They have other stuff there too, but I heard that the oysters are the best part.
Well, God bless them in their endeavors. I'm all for supporting businesses, growing businesses. Oh,
Absolutely.
another thing, Tosh said she's not going to tell y'all this, but I'm going to tell you. She said stop adding her or attempting to add her on Instagram because her page is private and she likes her private life in that way. So she's not going to add you if she doesn't know you. I'm just here to tell y'all, if you've added Tosh or tried to follow her, she has a plethora of requests that are pending,
I do. And
over 100 requests.
and then I'm not gonna be funny, but to be completely honest, I'm in this stage in life where I think I'm kind of transitioning out of like heavily relying on social media,
Mhm,
especially with us doing this pod. So I would
mhm.
say like I used to get a lot of followers. Like my friends used to repost stuff I would say because I just say outlandish stuff on a regular basis anyway. But more importantly, on my story. But I haven't been doing that as much because a lot of these crazy takes that I have, and like when I'm having these epiphanies when I'm walking around the house and I'm like, I just need to say this. I'm saving it for the pod. So like if you noticed this week, I might have had one or two little rants about some stuff, but a lot of my social media presence as of these last 2 weeks has just been promoting the pod. So it's really nothing to even see there, y'all. Like everything
Nothing to see
crazy
here.
is nothing to see here. Everything that y'all are probably looking for or to get an idea about who is this lady behind this mic, you're going to get it from me behind the mic. Like just stay tuned. Throughout this podcast journey, all the stuff about me that you're going to want to know, even the stuff that you probably don't want to know, you're going to find out.
Or maybe one day she will take her page off of private and it will be a public platform. Who knows?
Wishful
But
thinking.
if you guys want to follow me, you can. My page is public, but I really don't post a whole lot of my personal life on social media either. I think that the best way to really get to know us would definitely be through the pod because we will be sharing more and more intimate experiences that gives a better overview
Yeah.
of our lives and our lived experiences. So we're so grateful for this platform and for this connection to be able to do that with you guys. But if you want to follow me, I am at Art of Pressure on Instagram. And you can send me a DM. I'll chat with you. I'm not funny acting or anything like that. I'm not saying that Tasha is funny acting, by the way. I'm just
Nah,
saying.
I
I'm
really
just
just
saying.
be, and a lot of the times for real though, like I feel like I be, but I just really be in my own world. Like I will start a conversation with somebody and in a DM or even in a text message and start doing something else and totally forget for like 4 days and go back to it. So I'm just not really the most reliable, like
I
with
mean, I do
digital
the same
communication unless
thing.
it comes to like work or business.
I do the
Like
same I do the same thing. I'm really bad with text nowadays. And we're going to put a pin in that because that's a part of another episode that I can explain why or how I got to this point in my life. But oh, I almost forgot. I do have one other announcement. I am a day late, but I want to wish all of the lovely birth workers that identify as doulas a happy World Doula Day. It was yesterday, Saturday, and I missed the day because again, I don't, really tune in as much as I should be, but I'm grateful to be someone who is a doula that's heavily into this work, heavily in the work and realm of reproductive justice and advocacy. And this is a selfless work that takes special people to be a part of. So happy World Doula Day. If you have a doula currently, or if you've had a doula, do something nice for them. I feel like we all deserve
I don't
it.
know about all that because I had a good doula, but I mean, I'm gonna shout her out and tell her Happy World Doula Day, but I don't know if she gonna get nothing special. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know if she don't get nothing special because we working. We here doing the
we
pod, okay? We're working, all right?
we
But
are
no,
here. We are
but
here
in all
doing the pod.
seriousness, like I think we said we were going to examine that on another pod, on another episode, which we are. But for those of you that did not know, Diamond was my doula through my birthing experience, and I can personally attest to her commitment, her efficiency, and her wealth of knowledge and the care and compassion. You know, as the old folks say, she got good bedside manners. Um, but no, seriously, like I will say that though I probably did not utilize her as much as she would have wanted me to, or that other people may have, that's just my personality because it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm figuring it out. I got
Miss
it.
Independent.
Yes. And so, but I will say that when I did reach out, when I did need her, especially when it was time for us to go through the labor process, extremely, extremely efficient. She was at the hospital before we were. I mean, she was there, she was prepared, she was ready. So I just want to give her her flowers while I can, and
Thank you,
while she's
Tosh.
here. That I do appreciate everything that she did from the time we had the initial discussion about establishing a relationship literally until now. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was a very cool experience that kind of segued itself into something bigger. But yeah, shout out to, I always like to tell people I had the best doula in the world. I've only had
Thank you.
one, never had another one.
Thank you, Tosh. I greatly appreciate that. And I appreciate you for just being a part of my journey as a doula. And I appreciate all of my clients because I'm able to learn more about myself throughout the process, as well as learning about my clients and their children as well. And being able to be a part of their story is something that I will never take for granted. So thank you so much. This has been another episode of the Soulful Stir, and we will chat with you guys later.